Thank you so much for that kind welcome, and indeed, welcome to the man from Auntie in a week that sees encouraging news. Britain, at last, bowing to international pressure, has agreed to stop dumping raw sewage into the North Sea by 1998. As a member of Greenpeace, I, of course, applaud this. Unfortunately, I'm not sure I can hold on till then. Many, of course, will be sorry to see the demise of the traditional English seaside holiday of poking around in rock pools for unnaturally crusty crustaceans, plopping yourself down on a towel and, indeed, toweling yourself down on the plop. The government no longer needs to flush sewage directly into the North Sea because the poll tax enables them to crap directly on all of our heads. So, I don't know about all you lot, but I've worked out how to pay my poll tax. I'm going to get the money off Colonel Gaddafi, no problem at all. The financial thumbscrew revolving around the poll tax takes another turn this week, when a bill will be passed to sell our names and our addresses to mail-order advertisers. That's true. Now, what is a supposedly ecologically concerned government doing flogging our addresses to promote junk mail? Trees will die. Fossil fuels will be consumed. Postmen will get hernias. We will all suffer that horrible disappointment of thinking you've got a real letter and being really excited, and then it turns out to be an ad for a combined musical B-Day and Willy warmer. Speaking of quirky side effects of the British parliamentary system, the Liberal Party was back in the news this week. Just a couple of little laughs at the back there. That's the two Liberals going, I think he's got a perfect right to say that. I really do. But they were in the news. Paddy Ashdown reshuffled his shadow cabinet. Well, that must have taken a while, eh? I mean, come on, Paddy. I know it's a bit cruel, but you're not exactly shuffling with a full deck there, are you? Now, back on the environment. Back on the environment. Very important. It was revealed this week that the greenhouse effect causes acne. So finally, we can take it seriously. At last, our leaders will have to act, because it is a central truth of the human condition that if you've got a great big pluke on the end of your nose, nothing else matters. The seas are rising, the weather's changing. Never mind that, look at his spot, what do you think? I was talking about the environment before, and I don't think people realise how fragile it is. Do you know, it is a fact that the ecosystem in the Antarctic is so pristine, so delicate, and the growing season so short, that a footprint in a patch of moss would last for 10 years. Imagine that! An awe-inspiring statistic, perhaps even more awe-inspiring than that, is that despite the fact that vegetation in the Antarctic is very scarce, a dedicated environmentalist sought out possibly the only patch of vegetation in the entire subcontinent and jumped on it, and thus learnt the world of the infinite fragility of the world's last great wilderness. The last place on earth that doesn't have a McDonald's. McDonald's, even in Moscow now, an international language all over the world, in 100 different countries. They're taking the top half off and saying, why do they put that bit of gherkin in? They know everyone hates it. They have to fish it out of the sauce. Why do they do that? Now, I am here to tell you that Britain is one of a number of nations planning to develop the Antarctic. Develop. There's an interesting use of language, eh? Good Mother Nature don't do a good enough job, eh? Nah, needs a bit of help, that needs a bit of development. Such a nice word. Develop. It seems to have come to mean bugger up, doesn't it? We constantly use language not to convey meaning, but as a smokescreen, to obscure the truth. You meet it everywhere. Not just on huge topics like destroying the environment, but in little things. The reality gap is constantly with us. It's mid-series, so I decided I'd have my hair cut. I went into the hairdressers and I said I'd like my hair cut. They said, fine, do you want it washed? I said, yes, I'd like it washed. They said, good. In that case, Sandra, our junior stylist, will wash it for you. Junior stylist, ladies and gentlemen. Again, the linguistic smokescreen. Why don't they just be honest? Sandra, the bored 16-year-old slumped in the corner, will wash your hair for you. All right. So she bungs a towel round your neck, Lord knows why, because all the water's going to go straight down your back and up your bum. Then she pushes you back into the backwards chair, forces your head back into the porcelain neck brace, which even the South African police have rejected as a touch out of order. She starts dragging all your hair into the basin. She's got your sideburns, the little ones at the back of your neck. Your eyes are watering. She's dipping further. You're hoping she's not going to go pubic. She turns on the shower. A vague swipe across the forehead, then it's straight down the back of your neck. So your arms are clamped across your chest, your head's in the plug hole, your Adam's apple's crushed against the top two vertebrae of your spine, and she says, would you like a cup of coffee? How? Intravenously? Through your ankle? Well, come, in the thinking things are somehow more special, more wonderful than they actually are. Have you ever been to a Harvester restaurant before? Well, this is a table and this is a chair. And here's our laminated menus in case anyone happens to be sick on it. I think the reality gap is particularly wide for younger people. When you're a kid, you think there's this great world waiting for you. If only your parents would let you stay out late. So just to put things into perspective, we'd like to present the Fartie's Guide to the Disco. So, first of all, you have to get past the bouncer. Now, the bouncer's job is to let in only the respectable trade. He defines respectable as smart. You can't get in unless you're smart. Well, that really sorts out the troublemakers, doesn't it? This man would be allowed in because he's wearing a tie. But this man would be disbarred for wearing sandals. And the lights are so disorientating and the sound is so loud that you spend the first half hour trying to chat up a potted plant. I really love you, I love your hair and you're so slim and... Oh, come on, let's do it, please. When you find out your mistake, clearly you need a little drinking. Now, of course, in discos, all they sell are absurd cocktails with hilarious names like Slow Comfortable Screw and A Fruity Bang Against a Wall. Tee-hee-hee. This translates directly as total and utter rip-off. Now, you can recreate the effect of a drink at a disco very simply. All you need to do is mix a little bit of orange juice, a little bit of lemonade, there you are, pop a bit of fruit in and perhaps a couple of umbrellas and then throw £5 away. Okay. Now, the main event is clearly the dancing. Now, obviously, the boy Fartie can't dance because they're not playing Quo, okay? So he's glued to the wall with his slow screw. If by any chance they were playing Quo, all you need is a piece of elastic, right? You put one bit in your teeth and one bit on the floor. But basically, unless it's metal, glued to the wall. Okay, the girl Fartie has decided to dance. Now, don't forget, girls, that when you get up to dance, it's important to find a good place to leave your coat. Now, you just neatly fold it up, get it all neatly folded, all carefully, and just tuck it awfully carefully down by your seat, okay? And then when it's there, you just kick it round a bit and stamp on it, and you get some lager and fags, and you throw it all over. So it's absolutely super to come back to at the end of the evening. Okay. Right, you're ready to have a good bop with your handbag. At a disco, a girl Fartie's first and most faithful partner is her handbag. And don't forget, we're all Farties. She dances round her handbag till smooch time, when all the Farties think, oh, it's a smooch, and unglue themselves from the walls, sashay coolly across the floor, and stamp on the handbag, kicking it open. Now, girls, for extra annoyance and embarrassment at this point, it's a good idea to have your bag stuffed full of lillettes, okay? All over the floor, like that. You see that? Very simply, you want them spread good and far so that you have to... Oh, I'm sorry, can I just pick up my lillettes? Marvellous moment. Fartie, of course, who caused the accident, gets down and says, I'm cold, I'm sorry, I didn't realise you smoked. Now, girls, it's terribly easy to recreate the smooch experience without having the unpleasantness of some drunken Fartie like me when I was an adolescent hanging on to you, okay? First part of the smooch experience. There are two parts. The first part is the spit in the air. No smooch is complete without some drunk Wally dribbling in your ear about how much he loves you. I really love you, darling. Now, it's really important and so easy to reproduce, so do try to do it, OK? Now, water is good, but I find an egg white much more authentic. And really just as simple. OK, so here we go. You just crack an egg in. You don't really want the yolk there, so here's one that we've prepared earlier. You want to froth it up, nice and frothy. Can you see that? A good, not too much. You don't want to stiffen it. Don't it? But good and dribbly, a nice glutinous consistency. OK, now then you can either just pour it straight in your ear. But if you really want to be authentic, and it's so worth it because it's such an easy thing to do, you can reproduce the licking effect. Now, what you do is you take a small tongue-shaped piece of sponge, OK? Now, you marinate it in lager, marinate it in flat lager, then you steep it in essence of tobacco, get plenty of smoke there. You want to give it a good smoky feel. Then if you've time, do take the trouble, crumble a few crisps over it, just a few. Can you see that? Crumble a few crisps over your sponge. There we are. Doesn't matter which flavour, doesn't matter at all, although vinegar and onion are often a favourite. OK, when you're ready, just dip it in your egg white solution. There you are. And you're ready for the smooch. OK, now just work it gently. Just work it gently round your ear. Up and down. Shove it in a bit as it gets more and more enthusiastic. There we are. Young love, eh? Now, the second stage of the smooch is when Farty gets a bit more infused and starts really pushing himself against you. OK, now for this you're going to need your other hand, OK? Because while you continue to work the sponge round your ear hole, what you do is you get a fun-sized Mars bar and you just press it into your stomach. Not too hard at first, but as the dance goes on, Farty's courage grows. Can you see that? Keep pressing that fun-sized Mars bar. After that, it only remains for all the lights to come on, and everybody gets a proper look at who they're dancing with. And that's off home. Oh, yeah. Image and reality. Have a good time, go to the disco like hell. Everything is packaged and sloganised, from pot noodles to political parties.
Neil Kinnock's greatest asset is his youth, because he was bringing a freshness to the sad state in which our society is today.
Ah, a gentle pastoral feel. It's just like that chocolate advert. Lucky they stopped the film before he got his flake out, eh?
At last, a decent knobgad. Took your damn time, didn't you?
Now, remember the last Tory conference? The slogan, because slogans are what matters these days, was the right team for Britain's future. Slogans. Never mind the product. What about the slogan claiming that the Prime Minister's assorted clutch of sycophants and closet malcontents is a team? It's like Coke's current claim that you can't beat the feeling. You can't beat the feeling of a slurp and a burp of Coke. I mean, it suggests rather an empty life, doesn't it? Rather an absurd suggestion. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, try to imagine a very special time. I mean, there's a big log fire, it's burning, you're making love on the carpet, right? You're securely padded so that you don't burn the skin off your knees and the small of your partner's back, right? There's 16 star-spangled multiple orgasms going on, G-spots coming out of all four ear holes, and a cheque for £1 million clenched firmly between your buttocks. Now, come on, be honest. Wouldn't you rather have a Coke? Anyway, in the wake of the resignation of Peter Walker, the last wet, we here on The Man from Auntie thought it would be interesting to take a look at the team of 79. This is the official photo. Oh, so full of hope and dreams. Where are they all? Gone. That's where. Now, let's take a look at the team that came to power after the '83 election, eh? And how have they fared? So many gone. Spooky, isn't it, eh? You notice a common thread, a constant factor running through these sinister D-teamings. Yes, the team leader is always there. Blimey, never mind Norman Bates, you wouldn't want to get in a shower with her, would you? People disappear around Margaret, never to be seen again, or else they re-emerge, hideously deformed and changed. Cecil! Nigel! These days, days, the cabinet minister is clearly a seriously endangered species, constantly culled by the boss. There is, however, one very clear exception. One survivor who has lasted all the way back to 1979. Geoffrey Howe. This week, our survival special looks at that shy and little-known creature, the Geoffrey Howe. Always friendly, always playful with other creatures, but the secret of his survival is he never antagonises more dangerous creatures. Except occasionally, of course. His real survival depended on hibernating for an entire decade. How stands the team today? It was formed in the dramatic reshuffle that followed the demise of Nigel Lawson, and in all fairness to Mrs. Thatch, she did not exactly have a lot left to work with. All the personalities had been de-teamed, and she was rather left with a rack full of empty suits. And so she reshuffled Douglas Hurd, a suit full of bugger all, who first came to prominence in 1984 from the Home Office across to the Foreign Office. Then she reshuffled John Major, a suit full of bugger all, who had been at the Foreign Office for 13 whole weeks. He was reshuffled to the Exchequer, and a suit full of bugger all called Waddington, who nobody had heard of that morning, became Home Secretary. Here he goes over to the Home Office. This is the British Cabinet we are dealing with. The upper echelons of the cabinet, not the local Rotary Club. John Major, now come on, now be fair, be honest. 6 months ago, who'd heard of him? Hardly anyone, no one in this audience. Since then, he's been Foreign Secretary and Chancellor of the Exchequer. Now, nobody can say the boy hasn't done well, because he has. He reminds me of